Hello, hello, hello. How are you guys doing today? Welcome to Peter Watches TV, where I watch all the TV shows and then I come over here and I react to them. And I watch all the TV shows. I watch all the true crime, all the reality shows, Sister Wives. I watch. Somebody came over to my channel the other day and they said, as being one of the Sister Wives channels, I'm like, I'm a Sister Wives channel now. I did not know that I was a Sister Wives channel now just because I do reactions to Sister Wives. But I have to say, I feel rather honored to be considered a Sister Wives channel. But I cover all the reality shows. 1,000 Pound Sisters I'm going to be covering today. I watch all the reality shows. I watch all the trending shows on Netflix and Apple and Peacock and Paramount and everywhere else. And then I come over here and I talk about it. And then you guys let me know what you think in the comment section below. And it's like we're hanging out having a conversation about TV. And that's what I love to do. So let's get into it today. Should we talk about 1,000 Pound Sisters? Okay. I have to say, first of all, I'm a little bored with this season. I was going to watch it, I think 2 nights ago, and I was just like, you know what, I was like waiting for it to come on at like 3 o'clock in the morning and whatever, and like I recorded it, but like it wasn't, something happened, and I was like, I'm going to wait till tomorrow night and watch it, and so I ended up watching a true crime documentary, and then last night, I talked about in my vlog this trilogy of horror movies. The first one is called X, the second one is called Pearl, and the third one, I think they're in this order, and the third one is called Maxine. Somebody told me that I had to watch them in that order. So last night I started watching X, and then like I just was like, okay, you gotta watch 1,000 Pound Sisters. So last night I watched 1,000 Pound Sisters. Actually, I started watching 1,000 Pound Sisters and taking notes on it, and I kind of like took breaks and stuff. I'm just bored of it this season. I don't know, like, I don't know what I'm looking for with this season of 1,000 Pound Sisters. I kind of find this to be true with all the shows. Like, I binge watched Vanderpump Rules to get caught up with last season, and I was so into Vanderpump Rules when I was binging it. And then when the season came on, I don't know if it was that I was like, I had to wait for each week for the episode to come out. Maybe that's part of what it was. But then the same thing happened with 1,000 Pound Sisters, because I watched 1,000 Pound Sisters, and now, like, I'm kind of bored each week waiting for it. And the same thing happened with Sister Wives. Like, I loved watching Sister Wives when I was binging it. But now that it's on each week, I'm just kind of like, it feels so repetitive. 1,000 Pound Sisters is not so repetitive, but it kind of plays off of, like, old themes that have happened on the show now that we're on season 6 and things like that. I did have this, like, interesting idea, though, last night. You know, 1,000 Pound Sisters is like one of these shows that it gets some attention, but not nearly on the level of, like, you know, Sister Wives and some other reality shows. But Sister Wives didn't really pick up getting that much like international attention and like people talking about them and stuff until between like the 4th and 6th season. We're only on the 6th season of 1,000 Pound Sisters. If it should last, could you see this being like the next big thing? I mean, it's already kind of problematic, you know? In fact, it was interesting when I was watching it because one of the very first scenes, they show Amy Slayton smoking a cigarette. And I'm like, didn't Amy say that she was quitting smoking cigarettes? But that was like one of the very first things I noticed. But then when I was putting it together, it's before Christmas, and I think that she said that her New Year's resolution was going to be that she quit smoking cigarettes. So I don't know. We'll have to find out until what happens after. Because if you guys don't know, she was caught in a live stream. She was holding her son. She was smoking a cigarette, and people came for her. So her way to respond to that was that Amy said she was going to quit smoking as a New Year's resolution. So I don't know if she has or not. We'll have to wait. We're not even to Christmas yet, even though Brittany has put up every Christmas decoration in her house. I love Brittany, Chris's wife. There's something about Brittany that I love. Like, and she's, you know, anyway, we'll get to that in just a second. Okay, so let's get into the notes, my notes of 1,000 Pound Sisters. So it starts off, and it's right on the tail end of where last week was, when Amanda kicked Tammy out of the house and said she had to move out of her house, all this kind of stuff. And so Tammy's now in the van. Amy has walked off, and she's smoking a cigarette standing outside the van. Tammy's bitching and complaining to the producer about how she's done with all of her family. She hates all of them. She's done with all of her family. And Amy is standing outside, and she's crying. And I don't know why Amy's crying, okay? But she's crying. Amy's crying. And she's real upset, too, and she doesn't really know what happened because she had left because her Amanda got into it. Now, I had said last week that this whole argument was very confusing to me. Amy said so the whole argument started because Chris got them all gym memberships, which I thought was nice. I thought it was fantastic, right? And then Amanda said, very lightheartedly, why don't we just do this all as a competition? You know, like to see who can do, like, work out the most or lose the most weight or whatever. And then Amy was like, I'm not doing any competition, blah, blah, blah. But she didn't really explain it. Well, at that time, she was sitting right next to Amanda. Amanda was in extreme pain for her knee. And I even said in my video last week, I was like, I kind of feel like maybe what Amanda, like part of the way she reacted is because she's in a lot of pain. This week she said it was because she was in a lot of pain and she was all doped up. But we didn't know that last week that she was all doped up. But anyway, Amy's like in her ear. And so Amanda says something like, get out of my ear. You're like loud in my ear or something. And so Amy leaves. Which Amanda this week says she's glad that she walked away instead of them getting into a fight. And that's what Amy said, that she learned, like when they were in Florida, she was like, I'm not getting into any fights with my siblings anymore. I'll walk away. Like that self-preservation. Which I thought that was growth on Amy's part, honestly. So this week it starts with, and then Tammy and her get into it, and Tammy's like trying to explain to Amanda, you know, like that she kind of sees Amy's side in all of this, and Amanda like cuts her off, and she's like, I'm not going to have you disrespecting me, and Tammy doesn't disrespect her at all, and nobody says anything. This is the thing that was kind of strange to me, is Amanda's going off on Tammy for no reason whatsoever, okay? And I will tell you, I love Amanda, okay? I love Amanda. But she went off on Tammy for no good reason. Now, I don't know what's been happening behind the scenes that they haven't filmed, because she acts like Tammy goes off on them all the time, all right? But we saw how Amanda's kids had treated the house that Tammy's living in, which is Amanda's house. You know, and seeing them break windows and leaving messes around. I mean, if I were Amanda to my grown kids, I'd say, you need to go clean up after Aunt Tammy, okay? And you're not breaking windows in our house. She owns the house. But she continues to defend these kids, which is strange to me, right? So she kicks Tammy out of the house, even though Tammy doesn't even really say anything challenging to her. And Amanda's like, you're being disrespectful, blah, blah, blah. Well, Chris, Brittany, and Misty, they don't any of them say anything. They just sit there, right? Which is part of the problem. Okay, so this week it starts with Tammy saying that she feels like Amanda threw her out of the house like a piece of trash and no one said anything. And that's true. She did do that. That's exactly what she did. She said, you can leave my house and you can move out of the house that you're living in too that I own. And not one person said anything. They all sat there. In fact, Misty and Chris left. Brittany sat there, and Amanda kept on saying stuff about her being disrespectful, and Brittany kind of, she didn't agree, but she didn't disagree either. She just was like, I mean, that would have been a moment for Brittany to say, you kind of went off on Tammy. They seem scared to me. They all seem scared of Amanda to me. They always talk about how they're scared of Tammy. They seem scared of Amanda to me, is what they seem like. And then Amy explains that, and I thought this was an interesting explanation, that she didn't want to be in a competition because there's always been a division between the older siblings and her and Tammy. And so her and Tammy have always felt like on the outside over here, and the older siblings have been over here. She didn't want a competition because of that. She just wanted, like, she'd go work out with them, but she didn't want a competition. I'm like, well, that makes a lot of sense. The problem is she was trying to explain that to Amanda, but Amanda wasn't having any of it and listening to her. Then Tammy says, this is all while they're in the van, that Amanda's dead to her. She doesn't have a sister named Amanda anymore. She doesn't want her to text her, call her, nothing. She'll want to contact her. She's done with Amanda, okay? So this is kind of setting forward the whole season of what's going to happen. So then Amanda says she's done, okay? She's talking to Chris, I think, and she says she's done. And she said if she's on her no, this is when she pulls him inside after the van pulled off. And she goes, if she's on her deathbed, if Tammy's on her deathbed, don't call her. She don't care. She don't want to know. I'm like, that's pretty steep, okay? I don't care how much pain and doped up you are to say that about your own sister over an argument about going to the gym. Okay, but Amanda acts like it's this disrespect that Tammy's been doing over and over and over again. Now, if that's the case, we haven't really seen a lot of that. I mean, we've seen moments where Tammy's disrespectful, but not to a point where you're like, if she's on her deathbed, don't ever call me, right? Then Tammy talks about how she feels alone, and this is the next day, and Amy comes over, and Tammy says she feels alone, and that she's heartbroken, and that she just is like, I don't feel like I have any family, because nobody comes over to visit me anymore. And you have to remember, before she went to rehab, they were constantly checking on her to make sure she was eating the right things, and this and that, and the guy that she was dating, and all that kind of stuff. Now that she's back from rehab, and she's lost all this weight, nobody's checking on her anymore. Nobody's checking on Tammy, okay? And so she feels lost, and she feels lonely, and she feels heartbroken, and she's explaining all this to her. And then Amy says to her, and Amy apologizes to her and thanks her for sticking up for her. And so they have this nice little thing. And then they flash to Tammy, and Tammy's like, the lesson to be learned is that you don't ever let a family member be a landlord. And she says, lesson learned. It's interesting because later Chris shows this thing. It's like they do this whole thing on the screen where they show all the people that Tammy's lived with. That Tammy lived with Amanda, or Chris first, and that didn't go well because Tammy had some issue with him. Then Tammy lived with Amanda, that didn't go well. Then Tammy lived with Amy, and that didn't go well. So then Tammy moved into the apartment next to Amy, and then that didn't go well. And on and on and on. It's like he shows this pattern of behavior that Tammy can't get along with all of her family members. Which, I mean, she has been difficult at times in past seasons. I've seen that. But the last 2 seasons, I haven't really seen Tammy be that incredibly difficult with the family members. I haven't. And I've watched it pretty closely. So then she said that she never hears from Misty anymore. And, well, we've always known that Misty was really close with Amanda, right? And that now that Chris never comes around anymore, now that she's healthy, no one cares to see her anymore. And that has to feel lonely. And Amy even says, she's like, everybody was checking on Tammy, but now that she's healthy, nobody comes over here to see her anymore. Tammy says she wants to get away from her family, and that she says the best thing that she ever did was go to rehab to get away from her family. I thought that was interesting. She says she wants to move out of state. She's done. She's moving out of Kentucky is what she says. Then it goes in this thing where Amy's shopping because she's going to make this recipe. Now, this recipe turns into this whole thing. When she was in the grocery store, she's shopping. She's going to make white chocolate shrimp Alfredo. Okay, so she wants to make it, but she doesn't say this at the time when she's in the grocery store picking out the ingredients, but that was hilarious when she's in there picking out these ingredients and she doesn't know what anything is. And so the woman that's helping her is like, anyway, that whole scene was hilarious. But basically, what it is that everybody in the family says she can't cook, okay? Even Chris has said she burns water. So she's wanting to prove to the family that she can cook, okay? But instead of making, like, sandwiches or, like, a basic casserole, okay, or a lasagna or maybe spaghetti, she decides to prove to the family that she can cook by making white chocolate shrimp Alfredo with everything bagel, sauce, paprika, sugar, vanilla. I mean, she puts everything but the kitchen sink in this meal, and then she's gonna prove to everybody that she can cook. I'm like, girl, okay. So then Chris and Misty go over and they check on Amanda after her surgery, and Amanda says, this is when she says she was doped up and in a lot of pain, and that she doesn't even remember everything that she said to Tammy and Amy. She doesn't even remember. She's like, all I remember is Amy yelling in my ear and I told her to leave or something like that. Then Amanda said that she should not have said what she said, but for them to be on good terms, that Tammy needs to apologize to her. I'm like, what, girl? Tammy needs to apologize to you? Tammy didn't do anything wrong, Amanda. Watch the tape back. Tammy did not do anything wrong to you, Amanda. If anybody owes an apology, it's you to Tammy. I was kind of baffled that she said that. And this is the thing. Chris and Misty didn't say anything. Chris is like, well, you guys are siblings. At the end of the day, you need to get along. He didn't say. This is where Chris always wants to act all like he's, the man of the family and all this kind of stuff. But he didn't step in and go, you know what, Amanda? You're in the wrong here. And you were the one that was yelling at Tammy for no good reason because you're all doped up in pain, which I understand that, Tammy, or Amanda, okay? But Tammy didn't deserve what you gave her because she says something about I'm not gonna pack away something, but he's like, you have a part in it too. But once she looks at him, like they pause it. She looks at him when he says, well, you have a part in it too. It's not all equal to Tammy. She's like, you're not going to go after me on this. They're afraid of Amanda. I don't know why they're all afraid of Amanda, but maybe she holds the purse strings to the family. I don't know. Then Tammy comes over to Amy's house while she cooks. This is where she's cooking the white chocolate souffle, Alfredo, whatever it is. I'm a vegetarian, so I wouldn't eat it because it's got shrimp. That would be my excuse, okay? And my husband, he's allergic to shrimp, so he wouldn't eat it either. That would be our excuse for not having to eat it because that looked nasty, okay? But they show her house, and I'm like, because later she talks about she'll want to go to the gym because she don't have time to clean her house, be with her kids and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, besides being on a reality show, what do you do? Okay, because you don't work. None of you work. I think Chris works. Brittany doesn't work, I don't think, or does she? I don't know. Amanda, do any of them work? I don't know what they do. I know Tammy and Amy don't work, okay? They make YouTube videos, which they hardly ever post, TikToks, and they're on the show, okay? And I know that they don't get paid tons of money for the show. So I don't know what they do, but when she walks in here, the house is an absolute mess. And I'm not just talking about from having kids, okay? There is hoarder shit stacked up in that kitchen a mile high. Tammy pulls open this, like, outdoor chair to have in the kitchen. The pictures are crooked. In everybody's house in this family, the pictures are always crooked. Even when Brittany was putting up Christmas decorations, I just wanted to walk in that house and straighten the pictures. It was driving me crazy, okay? Yes, I do have OCD, but it was driving me crazy. Go back and watch that scene. The pictures in Amy's living room, are literally like this. I'm like, girl, your kids aren't even tall enough, so that's you slamming doors or something. I don't know what's going on, but her house is an absolute mess. And, so then Tammy says that she gave notice and that she's moving out of Amanda's house. She's got 30 days to move out of the house. Amy starts crying while she's cooking. At first, I thought she was kind of joking. I was like, is this for real? Is she really crying while she's cooking? And she says that everybody makes fun of her and that she can't cook. So she's going to cook this white chocolate souffle madness of Alfredo, and she's going to take it over to Amanda's house because Amanda, she can't cook because she's got the surgery that she has had on her knee. Tammy's like, well, why can't her kids cook for her? They can help her. And then Tammy says, I hope she gets the runs from it. So anyway, then Amy, starts crying. So then Tammy feels bad if she doesn't taste it. So Tammy tastes the Alfredo. And she's like, what is the tang taste? And I'm like, tang, like the tang drink? Or she's like, what is the tang in there? And then she's like, Tammy's like, and she goes, well, I guess it tastes kind of like Alfredo. Anyway, then Chris goes in this whole thing about how he bought this house next to him, this sadly yellow house, okay? I mean, like, this is, like, giving every small town in Indiana, that house should be condemned, okay? That yellow house that he bought to make into a rental, that house should be condemned, first of all. Chris wants Tammy to move into the house next to them, and that they're buying as a rental, and then Brittany says, why can't Tammy live with Amy? Basically saying, I don't want her to live there, okay? And then Chris says, Tammy, but he's like, we wouldn't let any of our family members go homeless. Then Chris says that Tammy has an issue when it comes to living with family, and this is where it goes in all the pictures of him showing where Tammy lived with everybody. Brittany says if it has to happen, I guess it has to happen, because he'd let, now they got, like, this house that they live in is like 2 bedrooms and a living room that's like 5 by 5 with a Christmas tree that takes up half the size. And she says in there that her daughter, her son-in-law, her grandma, I mean, it's like 18 people. No, it's like 5, I think. So with Tammy, it'd be 5 or 6. But, like, there's already all these people living in that house. Okay. And then Chris says he's not going to lose his wife to one of his family members. I'm like, okay, right there. That's the point. You're not going to lose your wife. She's not going to leave you anyway, Chris. But you're not going to lose your wife to have moving one of your family members in. But then later, he says if he can't get the house ready in 30 days, Tammy can come live with them. And he doesn't even ask her. If that was me and my husband said, well, if we can't get this done in 30 days, you can come live with us. I'd be like, the fuck that... I'd be like, the hell they can? No, they're not coming to live in our house. No, ma'am. I got TV shows to watch at 3 a.m. They are not coming to our house. You can go pay them, get them a extended stay hotel room. So then he goes into this whole thing about all that. And then Amy goes over to Amanda's to take her the Alfredo. Amanda eats the Alfredo and she goes, girl, this is fire. I'm like, she is still doped up on those meds, okay? There is no way that white chocolate, chicken Alfredo, and whatever it is, okay? Amy, if you're watching this video, I'm sorry, girl, okay? But that was not the recipe to prove that you can cook on. Shaw says she makes these weird things and all that kind of stuff. First of all, I don't cook, okay? I don't like to cook. I don't enjoy cooking. I'm not good at it. I do burn water, okay? And I'm not afraid to admit it, okay? And I don't need anybody telling me that I'm a bad cook because I already know I'm a bad cook, okay? And I don't even care. That ain't something I pride myself in. But apparently, they're all good cooks in that family. So anyway, Amanda eats Alfredo and says, girl, this is fire. This is fire. And she says, it tastes like chocolate chili sauce. And then Amy's crying because she's like, everybody's family says I can't cook and all this kind of stuff. She wanted to prove that she could cook, so she did with this ridiculous dish. And then Amy's like, I'm just really emotional because I worked so hard on this dish. I was like, girl, I'm having a hard time keeping a straight face if you want to know the truth through all this, okay? Is this for real going on? Because you work so hard. She's literally in the grocery store picking anything that she can pick off the shelf to just throw in here, okay? But you work so hard. And she literally threw a whole thing of garlic in the thing. And she, like, Tammy was looking at her and she goes, are you trying to get the family stomach aches or something like that? I mean, I don't know how hard she tried, girl, but anyway. So then it goes in this whole thing. Amanda says that she needs to start focusing on herself. Amanda's actually very, very nice to Amy in this moment. And Amy apologizes to her for, like, walking out of the house and her getting into it and whatever. Amy's very nice to her in this moment, nicer than I probably would have been. And, but Amanda's very nice to her too. And Amanda's like, you need to focus on yourself. I'm worried about you, blah, 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 whatever. Amy says she doesn't have time. She's got to get a sitter. She can't go to the gym because if she goes to the gym, then she's got to get a sitter. She don't even have time to clean her house. Apparently, I don't know what she does. What does Amy do with her day, okay? I got friends of mine that got 4 and 5 kids, not just 2. I don't know and I know 2 kids is a lot. Trust me. I know 2 kids is a lot. But I don't understand what she does all day long, okay? And then she says she has to be with her kids and all this kind of stuff. Amanda's very sweet to her, but she's like, you need to focus on your self-care, okay? And I agree with that. And then Chris shows Tammy the house. I mean, this house, they walk in, and there is a lawnmower in the middle of this house, this horrible green carpet that Tammy says looks like it's from the 1970s. And there is this creepy-ass old chair in the middle with this creepy-ass doll sitting in it that looked like some horror movie. And I'm like, is this for real? And he's like, I got a lawnmower with the house. I was like, how much did that house cost you? $100? Did you get it at an auction? I'm like so confused about this house. There's holes in the ceilings where it looked like it could rain through. And him and Brittany get in a fight over the island in the kitchen because the island has a place to built in to put a coffee maker and he's not going to take it down. And Brittany says it's an eyesore. And I go, I'm thinking to myself, the island in the kitchen is an eyesore? This whole house is an eyesore. And Tammy is so sweet. She's like, just as long as it has 4 walls and a roof over my head, I don't really care. I'm like, girl, you're better than me. I wouldn't even walk in that place. That place looks condemned. And then Chris, so he's showing her the house, and Chris says it just needs up a little bit of cleaning and drywall. I'm like, girl, this needs, you need to demolish this house and start over from the beginning. Now, I don't know, maybe they'll prove me wrong and the house will end up being beautiful, but that house is a mess of trouble. And then he says, Brittany says it's going to take him a lot longer than 30 days. And he says, she can come live with them he goes, you can come live with us for a month, Tammy, if I can't get it done in that time. Brittany does not seem happy about this. I'm like, girl, just get your own place. Queen Tammy, okay, on the money that you make, okay, you live in a small-ass town in Kentucky. I cannot imagine that a one-bedroom apartment would be that expensive that you cannot get a one-bedroom apartment, okay? It's not like your background check's not going to do you well. You're on a reality TV show, okay? Have the producers help you get a show. You need to get your own, Tammy needs her own place. So then Tammy starts crying out front because Brittany and Chris get into it about this island, and she says she doesn't want to cause problems anymore. I feel bad for her, you know? But I don't know why she just keeps on moving from house to house to house. I want my own place, okay? And then Chris says she could have been an adult and worked it out with Amanda. And this is where I'm just kind of like over it. I'm kind of like, you know what, Chris? This is where you should have said, you know what? You were decent to Amanda, and she was a shit to you. Instead you say she could have been an adult and worked it out with Amanda. What's she supposed to do? Be a doormat for the rest of her life? Tammy didn't go through losing 500 pounds so that she could be a doormat for the rest of her life. And I'm not saying that Tammy has talked to everybody nice in that family, because she hasn't. They don't, any of them, talk nice to each other. So to single one of them out and say that that person's being disrespectful when the whole family's disrespectful to each other, it's kind of weird to me. The only one that's not is Misty, because she don't say boo on the TV show. Never, ever. Her and Brittany, they don't hardly ever say anything, you know? Chris and Amanda, Amy, and Tammy are constantly disrespectful to each other. So to pick it out, to be picking sides, and it goes back to what Amy said is that it was always the older siblings and her and Tammy over there. And it reiterates that. And Chris proved it at the end when he said, if you could have been a mature adult and worked things out with Amanda. Oh, so she's supposed to take the shit that Amanda hands to her, Chris? Is that what it is? Anyway, that was 1,000 Pound Sisters for this week. So anyway, let me know what you think in the comment section below. I love you guys, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.